In this chapter, you'll get a look inside of your IBM personal computer. You'll learn how the circuits on the inside relate to the hardware on the outside. The first so-called personal computers were largely do-it-yourself devices. In the mid-1970s, several manufacturers designed kits made up of electronic components that had to be assembled before any actual computing could be done. Since these kits tended to be incomplete and had to be built, most people who were not electronics hobbyists didn't get involved with personal computers. However, one thing in common. They were based on the development of a new kind of electronic device called a microprocessor chip. It is this microprocessor device that made the whole personal computer revolution possible. Everything changed in the late 70s. Several manufacturers began shipping a kind of personal computer that could be used right after unpacking from its box. The personal computer revolution was born. IBM, the world's leader in huge mainframe units, recognized the need for a small and compact, yet very powerful personal system. Your IBM personal computer is a result of thousands of man-hours of development and design from a company that has pioneered computer technology. All of the work that your personal computer does is done under the control of the microprocessor. It may look tiny, however, it contains thousands of transistors arranged in a specific way so that it can control your entire system. We're going to show you the inside of your IBM personal computer to give you some idea of what goes where. We don't recommend that you actually open your own computer because it is factory assembled and checked out when you receive it. But what we are going to show you looks exactly like yours. On the upper right side of your IBM personal computer is the power supply. It is a sealed unit and provides the various voltages your computer needs for its various circuits. Don't ever tamper with the power supply. Doing so might be dangerous and void your warranty. The power supply contains a fan to keep it cool. In front of the power supply are the disk drive assemblies. These are the components that allow you to record the data that you generate onto floppy disks. If you have a second disk drive, it will be located to the right of the first drive. Directly under the disk drives is the main circuit board, a circuit board that contains many small electronic components called ICs. IC stands for Integrated Circuit. On the main circuit board, as well as on the separate memory board, are many of these ICs. The smaller ICs handle memory functions. There are several large ICs in your computer. They control various functions such as video display and the disk drive operations. One of the large ICs with many flat wires attached to it is the brain of your IBM personal computer. It contains a microprocessor chip. It is also known as the CPU, or Central Processing Unit. As the brain of your computer system, the CPU is one of the three essential elements common to every computer system, no matter how large or small. These three essential elements are the CPU, or Central Processing Unit, the memory, and input and output. Basically, any computer system fetches instructions from a memory, performs those instructions, adds information if required from input devices, and displays or transmits the results of that process through output devices. You may want to take a look at that whole concept again. It's the core to understanding how all computers work. Your IBM personal computer contains all of the basic elements and performs all the basic functions much in the same way as that big mainframe computer does at your neighborhood bank. Those rows of smaller IC chips inside your IBM personal computer contain the memory where instructions for the CPU are stored. There are two types of memory inside of your computer, non-volatile and volatile memory. Non-volatile memory is made up of special ICs that have been pre-recorded with program information at the factory when your IBM personal computer was manufactured. The IC components that make up the non-volatile or already recorded memory section are known as ROMs, for read-only memory. These pre-programmed chips give your IBM personal computer its special abilities. ROM is unforgetful or non-volatile. Volatile memory is stored in chips known as RAMs, for random access memory. It is these RAMs that you write into when you're working with your computer. Since the contents of RAMs can be written into or read out from, they are the memory chips that you will be using when you are using your computer. But they will also forget that information when you turn your IBM personal computer off. Volatile memory is forgetful memory. These chips are essentially empty until you load information into them when you're operating your computer. On the upper left-hand side of the main circuit board of your IBM personal computer is a row of 5 electrical receptacles known as expansion slots. They are also called peripheral connectors. These slots are available for various input-output devices and additional memory circuit cards. Essentially, they allow the computer to grow and expand with your needs. The disk drive or drives that are in your computer unit are also known as peripherals. A peripheral is any device connected to your computer that serves an input or output function. Other kinds of peripherals may be a printer, to output information and data onto a piece of paper, a hard disk for expanded memory capability, a modem, a device used to connect your IBM personal computer to another computer, usually through telephone lines, a plotter to physically generate those maps, charts, and graphs, or a touch pen to quickly input messages to your computer with a simple touch of the display screen. Some of these devices are input devices only. Others are output devices only. Some are combination input-output devices. The keyboard is one of the input devices available to the CPU. The monitor is one of the output devices your computer uses to communicate with the outside world. A good example of a combination input-output device is a disk drive. Instructions or data can be written or magnetically recorded onto the so-called floppy disk through the drive. This is outputting data from your computer. Instructions and data can also be read or played back from the disk to your computer. This is an input function. Another way of saying write is save, and another way of saying read is load. You may save data on a disk by writing onto that disk magnetically, and you may magnetically read data from that disk by loading it into random access memory, RAM. As the personal computer industry grows, new kinds of devices are being developed for new applications. There are many adapter circuit boards or cards currently available for use in any of the 5 peripheral connector slots inside your computer. Many independent companies are producing these plug-in boards for a variety of uses. You may or may not have some of these. However, you'll most certainly have one of 2 IBM Video Display cards. There is the IBM Monochrome Display parallel printer adapter. It is really 2 different circuits on one board. One of these circuits is where you would connect the IBM Monochrome Display, if you're using one. The other circuit is where you would connect an external device requiring a parallel output, such as parallel printers. The other video display adapter card is the IBM Color Graphics Adapter. It is used for any kind of video display other than the IBM Monochrome Display. You'll need this card if you want to use another manufacturer's green screen, or black and white video display, or a TV set, or what's known as an RGB display monitor, short for red, green, and blue, the component color signals of video. This card has 2 connectors. One is where you would plug in to get a standard video signal. The other is where you would plug in an RGB color monitor. If you're going to be using a true color monitor or a more sophisticated RGB color monitor, you'll be using the composite signal connector or the color direct drive connector to connect your display device. Incidentally, your green screen IBM Monochrome Monitor is really a black and white television monitor with a specially designed display screen that turns the white characters into green characters. The green color has been found to reduce eye strain. If you're using a standard television receiver, you'll need an RF modulator to convert the video signal from your computer to a television channel signal that can be tuned in on your receiver. The instructions and the manuals that came with the device. So far, we've been concerned with the system unit, the display device, and the keyboard. These parts are called hardware, the physical components of your computer. The actual instructions that your computer uses and the data or information that it processes is called software. We'll deal with software in more detail after you've assembled your system and turned it on. This chapter should have given you a better understanding of the hardware components of your system and how they relate to one another. Here's the pause symbol to allow you to pause and mark down your video player's counter numbers for Chapter 3. The pause will appear at the end of each chapter.